like it might be muddy now.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's kind of dried up.
Oh, that's good. I heard that there was some part in Florida that was colder than Alaska today. I think it's the Panhandle, or somewhere up in the Panhandle. The temperature was lower than somewhere in Alaska, which is always interesting to see.
A friend of mine that's in Orlando, I was he zoomed me and he's going, "Look at this, it's snowing." I said, "No way." When's the last time it snowed in Florida?
It's 28 degrees in Austin.
Nice. Jeez, that's about what it's supposed to get down to here this weekend.
It's 80 degrees here in Cobble, St. Lucas, where I'm at.
Damn. All right. All right, guys, let's get to it. I got just a short time this morning, but I figured I'd jump on because there is a lot going on, and I want to show you guys some things. You know, I hate to, and I'm always optimistic that this time could be different, but as of right now, if I were really just, I always say this, if it was just me trading in my home office without an audience, without people, hanging on my words or, expecting, me to be right or wrong, and I was just going with my gut instincts, I would say that the bear market has been in effect since probably November, maybe even October. But you don't know it until certain things happen. You don't really know for sure. Getting into the 70s for Bitcoin, and let me just go back to what I said over the last couple of days here in my Signal channel. I did post this video yesterday. Let's see, yesterday before that. Let's see. I had a couple shorts, obviously, on Bitcoin that turned out pretty good. Yesterday. All right. Yesterday morning, and I want to recap this because I just want to bring you up to speed for those of you who may not have seen it or weren't in any of the trades, but I've been giving more signals over the last couple of days than normal because of all the action. And sometimes, like yesterday, I went long again on XRP, and then I reversed it to short because that was a quick little scalp up to $1.60 after it dropped back, or $1.70 rather, after it dropped into the $1.60 range. But XRP currently below the floor zone, headed to the 160 level. But as you can see from the second image, the channel could take it to double bottom at the October 10th low in the $1.20 range. Wasn't expecting to get below the floor, but as BTC dumps, it's pulling everything that correlates with it down for now. This is temporary, but part of the game. We can buy the lows, but as far as leverage trades, better to wait for the real bounce for an entry. In other words, it is risky shorting on the way down because there are bounces, and just like on the way up, there's lots of ups and downs. Like if I show you a normal chart on the way up, on the way up, we have a big pullback. We have a way up, big pullback, way up, big pullback, way up, big pullback. So on the way up, there's lots of downs. On the way down, there's lots of ups, right? And so you go short here and then you go negative for a minute, but you got to understand where the overall, days and weeks to come are headed for you to be able to handle those ups and downs while you're in a short. About 10 minutes before this call, I was up about $1,500 on these three trades. But look at this tiny little slight pullback right here. And I'm only up 600. So, so you got to be able to ride that out. You got to be able to realize that this is kind of how it goes. But, and then yesterday a little later, BTC, I'm still in my short in profits at 84.6 level now, still on its overall downward trending widening channel. Going into weekend, might hit 80K again and $1.60 for XRP. I'm predicting these and they're doing exactly what I'm saying it's going to do. We will see if that is a double bottom bounce or not. So what we were waiting for, and I think I said it, is that if Bitcoin bounce, and then I closed my trade out because I was thinking that this is going to be a bounce, and it might be a bounce. And if it does and gets out of this downward trending channel, I would reverse my short. Now I closed the trade, took a 445% gain. Right after that, same thing, entry, XRP just hit 160 floor, red arrows. I did put a long in with small contracts as a placeholder and will add contracts if this is the real bounce. But I did it knowing well it could go lower. Keep that in mind. Lower contracts with lower leverage to keep liquidity far away. Entry $1.66 because what happened is XRP came down and hit that red line. Boom. And if I go back and look throughout the last year, every time it did that, bounced really high, except for this one. It came all the way to $1.20 and then it still bounced really high. So this is where we were hitting that. And so I did put a long in on that bounce just in case, because what I've been saying also is that if this is the time that we are going to get the big bounce from a bottom, I would rather be in a position than to have missed it and said, shit, that was the only time I didn't go long when it hit a floor. So I do it anyway, even though I know that if this is not the time that it bounces, if this is not the floor and we are heading down further, I will just have to get stopped out and then reevaluate. That's fine with me. I understand the game. And so I always put those notes in so that you guys understand that maybe some of this stuff might be risky. Maybe you don't have the risk tolerance for it or any fingernails left to handle re-entering and re-entering and re-entering sometimes. And then right after that, notice, close my BT short at 400% gain on the double bottom bounce at 80K. However, if we do fall below that and hold 80K as resistance, I will be re-enter short. I will re-enter short. If BTC breaks the downward trending resistance to the upside, I will enter long. I'm accumulating BTC and XRP on coin margin, so this is more strategic for me. What did I mean by that? Somebody asked a question in the main chat. I just mean that I'm trading on a coin margin. So, I'm trying to accumulate the crypto. I'm trying to accumulate more Bitcoin and XRP on these trades. So if it falls below this floor, which was 80K, I will be shorting again. If it bounces and gets above this downward trending resistance, I will go long. I try to be as simplified as possible. And then after a couple hours, closed XRP long. The dumping is not over. 80K support on BTC was breached. $1.60 support on XRP was breached. Waiting for the next best entry. Interesting times. I put a video there, and then 7 p.m., a few hours later, XRP once again. I'm in long. Okay, what happened? It come back above the 160. So we had a downward trending resistance. It broke above the 160 again right here. This is where it breached it. Went all the way down to like $1.48. Came back up and breached the downward trending resistance. So I went long again because it was back above 160. Then I announced that we're going to have this call today, kind of an emergency call, and which we're going to get into here in a minute. But then in the late after midnight, I was getting ready to go to bed. I saw it was developing. This is kind of why I wanted to have this call. And then I said, screw it. I'm not going to wait till tomorrow morning. Now short again, BTC entry 78.4. Solana entered the picture. Short again, short on that. And XRP reversed my long to short. And I put the screenshots of all three. And the reason why is because Bitcoin did not get back above 80. And if Bitcoin's not getting back above 80, everything else is getting dragged down. So I use Bitcoin as the barometer. And although I want XRP and know that XRP is going to hit double and triple digits someday, right now it's getting dragged down while all the chaos is going on around the world. With you got the new Fed chair being announced, who's shaking up the world, basically going back to Hamilton and McKinney principles, which is the way the country was founded in the first place. The Brits and the British Empire is not happy about that. The Federal Reserve and all the global leaders around the world are not happy about that. And so chaos will ensue. You got Larry Fink, the biggest investors in the world, who are globalists, not happy about it. These are the financial leaders of the world, not happy about what Trump's doing. So is it good for America? Yes. As long as he can pull it off and things move in that direction, yes. But it's not something that happens overnight. We have chaos. It's like if you're going to build a new beautiful house, but you found the property you want to do it on, aka America, you have to kind of tear down some shit first and clean the land up first before you build the mansion. And that's kind of what's happening. We're tearing down some things that were in place for 100 years. And okay, so let's.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I took your long there on XRP. When you say you reversed it, you just closed it and re-entered?
You can do that. You can also click this little double up and down arrow button right here.
Yeah.
And if you see, as I hold my mouse over it, it says reverse position.
And what kind of penalty do you get for that?
It immediately closes the long and re-enters the short in with the same parameters you had. So you are paying a maker and taker fee, just like you would if you closed the trade and re-entered it yourself manually. Now, I was in profit when I did it. So I was up a couple percentage points. So I still made money on that. Because on that long I gave from 160, it did go up a little bit before I did that and made that decision. But what I was telling everybody to do, and I think I even said it here on that long. Let's see.
Yeah, like
Possibly going to retest the $1.70 level. We'll reevaluate then. And that's kind of what it did. It just went right back up to, see right here. This is the breach right here. It was breaking right back above $1.60 right here. I went long and it went up, and I was hoping it was going to get to the 170, and then I was going to reevaluate right here, this green line, which is the bottom of the overall downward trending support. And it didn't quite make it. It started curving around and hitting this downward trending resistance. That's why I reversed it.
I'm sorry, where's that reverse button again? I'm not seeing it on my.
Right where your entry is on the screen here. You see my mouse right here. This is my short position that I'm in right now in XRP.
Right.
If I hold my mouse on this red, just to the right of it, there's two buttons. There's an arrow pointing up and down, and then there's that close position X. If I click close position, it'll literally close out the trade. It's just like a market order. But right next to that, there's two little arrows, one pointing up and one pointing down.
It's also at the bottom, right? On the bottom.
Yes. So down here in your open positions, you can click reverse.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, keep in mind, sometimes the reverse position doesn't take. And the reason why is because let's just say let's say you're negative on the trade and you try to reverse it because you think you made a bad choice and now you want it to go the other direction. If you don't have enough money to make the same trade margin that you had on that first position, it will not re-enter on the reverse. It'll just close out the trade. So as long as you have money in that account, in other words, if you have enough margin to handle that same trade in the opposite direction, it will just reverse it. But here's what happens, just so you know. If I were to reverse this, right, here's my short, here's my stop loss, here's my liquidation. If I were to reverse this back to long right now, my stop loss would go away. My liquidation would now be somewhere way down below. My liquidation would be down here, but I would no longer have a stop loss because I'm in an opposite direction. I would have to re-enter my stop loss somewhere under, I would just have to re-enter it somewhere under here if I'm going long. So it gets rid of your stop loss and your take profit targets. All it does is re-enter the entry in the opposite direction. But the whole purpose of it is to make a very fast, quick switch. And then you can go, as soon as you're in the opposite direction, you can then come down here and hit the TPSL and re-enter your stop loss and your take profit targets. Make sense?
It does, but right now, reversing it might not be the way to go.
Are you negative?
Yes.
Did you have a stop loss? My stop loss was at $1.59 on that trade. If you're talking about XRP, you would have been being taken out right now if you would have had a stop loss. But did you let's see, when did I put my reversal in? That was at midnight, so you were probably sleeping. That's why you didn't see that. Or you saw that and you just didn't know what I meant. But even if you see this reverse long to short, you don't have to actually reverse it. You could just close the trade out and re-enter the other direction. It just means I'm going the up. I'm was long, now I'm short. I did actually click the reverse button, but it doesn't matter whether you click the reverse button or you just close the trade out and re-enter the other direction. Okay, so now the other thing I wanted to show you was Solana. I did enter Solana because Solana, I normally don't trade Solana, but Solana, guys, is about to breach a major support level with a major head and shoulder pattern. And I would expect Solana with this setup to be dropping down probably to the $45, $50 range if this all plays out. So I'm now back up $1,000 on these three trades that I gave last night, these three positions. And I'm not really, I mean, on Bitcoin, I'm trading with the whole Bitcoin as far as contracts. But on Solana and XRP, I have very low contracts, very low margin on this. But I'm also trading on Bitcoin with, 19x leverage. So I'm not risking whole Bitcoin. I'm trading with the whole Bitcoin as far as leverage goes. So if you look here, you'll see we do have quite a pretty fantastic head and shoulders on Solana. Unfortunately, the reason why it's moving so slow is because I'm on USDT, and I got to get over here to Solana margin. For some reason, when I'm on a USDT margin, I'm still having that problem again where my chart moves very slow. And I also noticed that on the coin margin, because Solana was only allowed to go on a coin margin recently, so the chart doesn't go all the way back to the history of and it should go back further, but it's not. Let me just pull something else up for you to see. It's a screenshot. The other team. All right. So we got a left shoulder, right shoulder, left shoulder head and a right shoulder on Solana, breaching the previous, back in 2022, all-time high resistance level, and then resistance, and then support, support, support. We are possibly breaching this right now. If we do, we're looking at possibly a drop down to this next support level on Solana. That would be the $45 to $50 range. And we're talking about now, this is bear market stuff I'm talking about here, guys. This is Bitcoin. I didn't even get to Bitcoin yet. I'm just showing you why I'm in this Solana trade right now, because it does look like it has breached this zone. I mean, it's below it right now. So, I mean, it's amazing how far Solana has dropped from the top as well, but we are now below the zone. The zone is up here. And let's see, I am up on Solana 41% already just on that trade. Not much. I mean, I'm not playing with a lot of money here, but on Solana yet. But once it holds us resistance here, I will be adding to that. Let's go to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin again is the only one. It's the main one. It's the main driver, guys. It's pulling everything.
Hey, Niko, you there?
Yep.
Hey, on the charts there, I didn't see a stop loss on any of the trades you put in or you were doing last night. Is there a potential stop loss that we should enter at or put them at?
Stop loss, stop loss, stop loss.
Yeah, you had an entry point of where you were going short, but I didn't see.
No, so I'm showing you right here, stop loss, stop loss, stop loss under each one of these entries.
Oh, got it. I missed it.
Yeah, I don't know,
Thanks.
might need to refresh your,
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Thank you.
yeah, that could have happened because I did put the entry and then I noticed after I shared it that it was a little bit miscombobulated. It was like some of these were not in the right line, like this entry was up here next to B. So I went and fixed it, but I did that right after I
Oh,
shared it.
okay.
So you might have saw it and then
I missed it.
fixed it and then you didn't look again, but yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Bye.
All right, so let's look at Bitcoin because this is, I mean, I've been talking about this for weeks already, guys, but it's starting to become a little evident here now that we are in the 70s. So we're in the 70s and we're getting lower. And I did know already that if we broke into the 70s, if we got below 80 and could not get back above 80, then we would probably drop down to 70K. So we're at 77 right now. Let me go to a lower time frame so you can see. We did drop down to 75 yesterday, 74, something like that, 75.5 right here, 75.5, boom, bounced. And as you can see, we are not making any higher highs. We are continuing in this downward trending. Jeez, hold on a second. This always happens when I try to make a line stick and and this thing is in my way. We came right up and just kind of curved right at this downward trend. And so to me, not only are we going to come down and probably double bottom at the 75, but if we get through the 75, I mean, these are just different little layers of the whole matrix here, basically the Fibonacci retracement. Every time we hit these different support and resistance levels, there's a bounce, and then we come back up and retest resistance, bounce. We come back down and go to the double bottom, bounce. We come back up and retest the previous support, bounce. We bounce, come back up. I thought we were going to come up and retest this, but we didn't. That's what I was waiting for. Remember, I said I closed my short position on BTC. Now that it's in the 70s, I will go short again as long as it holds under 80. And it did try to come back up, but it did not even come back up to retest yet. It still could. Maybe Monday, Tuesday, I don't know. We could have a bounce here, and this could pop all the way up to here. It could pop all the way up to here.
Niko,
But I
we
think it
not?
could still go down. Go ahead.
Niko, excuse me, are we in the weekend trap yet?
Yeah, maybe.
We're in the weekend trap until Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
So is it any detriment to go ahead and like close out like right now while I'm ahead and then just go ahead and put in another short?
What did close out what?
Close out my trade while I'm in profit and I'm on a short and I'm in profit right now and then put in another one at the level we're at. You know what I mean? Is it any detriment to kind of make money where I'm at right now?
Yes, it would be better to stay. Now, I closed mine at 80 because that was a major level. Like if you just stay in it to 70, let's just say, instead of here. I mean, what was your entry? Was it back when I gave the signal way up here at 88,000, 89,000?
No, like my entry on my current on the Bitcoin was 78,265.
Okay, 782. So that was like the one I just gave
Last night, yeah.
Yeah, okay. 782. That's my entry right here. So what I mean, I just gave that. So why would you close it and re-enter?
Okay, I don't know how low we're expecting it to go.
Yeah, that's why I was having
I know
this.
68's been mentioned, but
Yeah. Honestly, guys, we could go down to 20K if you really want to know the truth. Now Now, do I think that that's going to happen? It's not that I think it's going to happen. What I'm showing you, and the reason why I wanted to have this call is that we are in very strange times right now. I want to show you some other things. This is the Wyckoff pattern on crypto market cap accumulation schematic, the Wyckoff accumulation schematic for stablecoin dominance. This is the Wyckoff pattern up here. And this is reality here. So stablecoin dominance, I mean, it's identical, and it looks identical. The patterns look identical. So what does that mean? Let me show you. Let me show you some other charts here that I clipped and shared that I wanted to show you here. This right here, guys, is the United States single family home prices. And the reason I'm showing you this, because this is not just a crypto crash, this is a everything crash that's happening. Stock market, gold, silver. Did you notice gold and did you notice silver dropped all the way down to like what, 36% from its high? Gold is dropping. It hit like 5,600. It's probably going to drop down to 3,500 to 4,000. This is real estate right here, guys. This right here is 2008 bubble. Remember that? 2008. We stabled off and we had bearish divergence in the real estate market back in 2008 going into 2013. And what happened after this was a huge dump, 30%. Here is the current real estate market. We have bearish divergence for the first time, probably in 2 decades, where we did have higher highs on the price, but slow and steady, stable, higher highs. Major bearish divergence again. I am expecting probably housing prices to drop as well. Now that we might have some realtors and some real estate experts on the call here that might disagree. Realtors are always trying to get, but if you're a realtor, then you should know already that things are kind of slowing down a little bit. But it depends on the part of the country you're in and the inventory and all that stuff, and also the neighborhoods. Some neighborhoods will sell in a week regardless because everybody wants to live there. But overall, this is looking a little scary as well. And then
What about automobile prices as well?
that I don't really know or keep track of. I'm talking, yeah, I don't know. Not sure, but this right here, this is what I really was getting to, guys. This was the top of Bitcoin right here. And this big drop right there, if you remember, was October 10th when Trump made his big announcement, tariff announcement. I mean, there's Binance is actually responsible for that, but it just so happened to coincide with Trump's announcements. But bottom line is 1 year from the top, which is 126, is about October. If Bitcoin breaks this 70K zone, see over here, 70K. We are at 78, 77 right now. If it breaks the 70K, which is the previous all-time high, this right here was 73.8. A little bit below that was 68. So I'm going to say somewhere in between here, 70,000. Major support here at 74.5. We did wick down to that. We hit 75. We did wick down and double bottom there, guys. We could have a relief rally. This was actually it, probably. This dump and this pump up to 89K was probably the relief rally. We tried to hit the 100, not 89, 97, 98K that we got to. We came close to hitting 100K. But you see what we wicked up to, guys. We wicked up to the moving average and we pulled right back down. And this just could be the right shoulder of a giant head and shoulder happening. If we do get another relief rally here, which is possible. Now, I am short right now. And that's because if we do keep going and we breach this level, I'm afraid it's going to be a domino effect free fall. And the next level down is right in here or somewhere in this accumulation zone right here. This would be called, I think, Chad calls it the boardroom, right? 58K, 60K. We'd be bouncing probably right in here. This is where the breakout was right here, which was probably about the 60K zone before we broke out to these highs. So that would be the first next support after we breach 70. And after that, guys, then it's a slow grind, all these ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs will happen in reverse. Down and up, down and up, down and up. Okay. That's how it works. If I go back on the daily, and now I'm gonna preface everything I'm saying now with this time could be different. It still could, yes. But let's just look at the last. I mean, I've done this before, but let's just look at the last time. We are kind of right here. We are right here. And we did this, and we did this, and we already did this, and we broke through this. So I'm sorry, but that's just what the charts are showing. That's what happened. And then as you can see, huge down, big up, huge down further, up, huge down further, rally, up, huge down further, big pull back up, big pump down, pull back up. So on the way down, there's lots of ups as well, just like when we're in a bull market going up. So I just want you to keep in mind, we could have little pumps and rallies all the time. It doesn't mean that the bear market's over. It means that it's called consolidation. It's people taking profits. It's people getting liquidated. It's people buying back in thinking that this is the bottom. Boom. It's all kinds of reasons why we have these pumps. People hitting support, everybody goes long and then they get liquidated, or they take the profits up here and it dumps. Or, you know, there's so many different minds out there. This is why there's car accidents. It's amazing to me when you're driving down the freeway that people can hardly be paying attention. Everybody's looking at their phones, but yet no one's wrecking. No one's just driving off the cliff because we have a collective mind thing going on here. And everybody's kind of aware of their surroundings, even vaguely, even when everybody's looking at their cell phones, even while they're driving, people are kind of aware of what's going on around them. And that's why people do kind of move over to the, you know, the left or the right of their lane. And they catch themselves and they center and they correct themselves, right? We all do it. But it's amazing to me when you really look at it, why everybody's just not crashing into each other all the time. And
Speaking of correcting yourself, can I ask a question about leverage?
yeah.
So if you notice you're getting close to your liquidity, and I know Phemex allows you, like a lot of sites, they say don't allow you to adjust your leverage, but you can adjust your leverage. Is there any detriment to kind of moving that or bouncing that around while you're in a trade?
Yes, there is. You didn't you just say you went short on my position?
Yeah. Yes.
You're getting close to your liquidity. You should be in profit right now.
Oh, well, I'm in profit, but if you do get close to your liquidity,
I thought
I
you
am
were
in
saying.
profit right now. That's why I'm being chicken. That's why I was like, should I cash it out?
Well, you know,
no.
there is the old saying, you can't go broke taking profit. And so you can certainly close the positions out and chalk it up as a win if you want, because you're in profit, right? But I didn't enter those positions to get right out, me personally. And you don't,
Correct.
but I have done that many times.
But if you have a trade that is getting close to your liquidity and you're like, oh, shoot, I have that. I'm running that at 50 and let me take that down to 20.
If that happens, then you've already made a mistake by not having a stop loss. So
okay.
Liquidation is losing everything that you have in your margin that you were risking. So down here,
right,
your margin. And so not having a stop loss in place is you're risking being liquidated. If you would put so right now, let's just say you entered the trade where I said, let's just go back down here because we're just barely in profit. So I get it. Here's my liquidation up here, 82,000. My entry is 80. Let's just go back because I think I might have increased profits. Let's look at my entry on Bitcoin. It says 78,471. Oh, that's that. I'm sorry. What am I thinking? That's the contract. 78,471 over here. I'm not awake yet. My coffee hasn't kicked in. So my entry right here is 78,471. You can see it over here, 78,471. And what I would do is I would rather than worry about getting liquidated, I would put your stop loss at 10%. How do you know where 10% is? Instead of coming up here and putting a price in, you come over here to ROI, percentage. 10%, confirm. Now watch what happens here. My stop loss goes in right at 10%. Now that is too close, I will admit, but I did get it on the board. So it's on the board. Now that it's on the board, I look at the line, which means that if it goes against me, the most I could lose is 10% of my margin instead of getting liquidated and losing my whole margin. My margin is $4,500. 10% is $450, right? So I'd much rather lose $450 than 4,500. But I can see it's too close because if we do pop back up, and even if we hit this downward trending line right here, this could come all the way up, break that, and then hit this line and trigger my stop loss, and then still come down where I wanted it to, right? So I want to get my stop loss above these wicks, above the liquidity pools there. Let's go. Where is the liquidity pool? Let's go look at it. Yep. Up here, I mean, you could put it at 80. So if I want to move my stop loss really out of the way, it's 10% is just to get it on the board, but I want to get it above those wicks right here, of these wicks. And let me just go right up to 80 because I mean, we could come up back up to 80, but I want to get out of the way. So I'm going to put it at 79,850 right now. But what does that do for me? Well, let's go back and look. Where did I just move it to? I moved it to 32% from my entry. I got it on the board by clicking 10%, but then I adjust it based on where the wicks are. Now you could be much more mathematical about this when you're entering your position. You could come over here to 1, 2, 3, 4 down, long, short, long, short. You click on short. So if I give the signal go short, you click on the short and then you go to where I said to enter, and then you click this button and it puts this on board, right? And then you determine where your stop loss should be and where the take profit target is. Where did I say the take profit target is? I didn't because it's open for now. So, but let's just say I think it's going to be way down here somewhere, 70K. Let's just say I'm putting it 70K. Right. I'm going to front run it a little bit to 70,200. I think it's going to hit 70K, but I'll just put it at 70K too. This would give me a right here risk to reward ratio of 2.86 to 1 if I put my stop loss way up here at 81.7. But if I dial this back a little bit because I don't need it to be that far away, notice the risk to reward ratio right here changing. As I move this down a little bit, now I'm at a 4.5 to 1 risk to reward. So I think my stop loss should go right at 4 to 1, right about here. That would be 80,787. Why? Because if I put it up there, if Bitcoin does decide to come up and retest this major support level up here at 80K, it won't hit my stop loss and then it'll continue down. But I will go negative quite a bit when it gets up there that close. I will go negative quite a bit. So that's the risk, but that is clearing your stop loss out of the way. So you can use a tool like that. I just look at the chart once I get my stop loss on the board and then I adjust it. I just move it manually. But that tool is worth one down where it kind of draws in it. But when you're pulling this down, you're going to pull it down to wherever the take profit target is. But if I don't have a take profit target, then you kind of like what you're saying right now, you could take profit anytime. I mean, we're in profit right now. We're up about 40% on that Bitcoin. If you entered the same trade that I did, you're up about 40% if you use the same leverage and everything I did. But 40%. So let's see, what am I up right now? I'm up almost 40%, which is 0.01 Bitcoin, which is about $1,500, $1,600.
I'm at 40% on Bitcoin and 90% on Sol.
Good job. Congratulations.
99% on XRP.
So good. How's it feel to take a trade and execute?
It was good because I've learned some hard lessons, like at work with no stop loss for 5 minutes, answered a phone call, went back and my money was gone. Oops. 5 minutes is I
Yeah.
thought, oh, it's going to be 5 minutes. It'll be fine. It was not fine.
That's what I was telling you a minute ago. If you're getting close to getting liquidated, then you don't have a stop loss. So that's your mistake. You definitely want to avoid that. So stop loss, the word stop loss, the name of it alone describes what it's doing for you. It's stopping the loss. Now you still get a loss when your stop loss is hit, depending on where it's at, because it could be moved into profit. And that way, like right now, technically speaking, I could take this stop loss and move it right here to break even, or right inside the profit zone. I could do that right now because we are technically in profit enough for me to do that. But what if it wicks back up and takes it out? Okay, I will not lose money on the trade because it'll hit my stop loss in profit, but I won't make much. So I need to give it a little room still. So because I'm expecting it to continue down going into the rest of the weekend at least. I will reevaluate because if we bounce here and double bottom at 75K and come back up and break the downward trending resistance, there is another one. There's another downward trending resistance right here. And the reason how these are basically what I call spider lines. It just kind of, it was downward trending here with resistance, and then it dropped further and came up and hit resistance here. So I draw that one. And then if it drops further, for instance, it does one of these where it drops further and then comes up and cuts before coming all the way over there, then there might be even another spider line from here to here, so to speak. And so it's kind of like just, and that happens sometimes, but it's just, but I will tell you this, these lines never go that way, only forward into the future. The price can never go back. So if we're ever dropping straight down, guys, there's no way it's going back. It's going to go this way. Always, right? So that just means that it's got to break. It's got to break one of these lines eventually, but that doesn't mean it's going up and that now the downward trend is over, because in order for us to go back up and have a higher high right now on Bitcoin, they would have to pump all the way back up. It would have to pump all the way back up higher than this high right here at 84K. And it would have to hold this as support. Let me get rid of all this other stuff that might be looking a little confusing right now. It would have to get, I mean, you can see we've been stair-stepping our way down. Boom, boom. We hit this downward trending support. We went through it, hit it as resistance, came down to the next support line, came back up and retested that as resistance, hit that support again, broke through it, but we never retested that as resistance. So it's certainly possible that we come down, bounce on this, hit this as resistance and come down. I'm not overly worried about what's happening in the short term. I mean, you could take the profit and say, oh, if it bounces here and starts to come up, you could just close that trade out, Angela, and take that profit if you want. And just wait for it to break through this 75. Because once it breaks through the 75, kind of like it did up here at 80, remember I said if it breaks the 80, I'm going short again. If it breaks through that 75, which is proven to be support right here, because we wicked right down to it and hit it cold and bounced, coming back around for a bounce. But this looks very similar to me to this one, where we bounced, came back to it, bounced, and just went right through it. Bounced, come right to it, bounce a little bit, and just go right through it. The reason why is only because the overall, I mean, guys, we broke a couple things here. We broke a major 50-day moving average. We broke the upward trending support. We're breaking the head and shoulder support at 78K. A lot, I mean, at 80K, we're a lot of things are showing negative. And yesterday I showed you, when I say negative, I just mean bearish. Yesterday I showed you the Gaussian channel turning red, the super guppy flipping gray, the EMA ribbon flipped upside down, bearish. I mean, the only thing that hasn't triggered a bearish warning is the pi cycle indicator, which normally reflects the top of the market. And it did not yet. That's the only thing. But am I going to ignore all other signals, very powerful, mostly accurate signals, because one didn't trigger yet? No. Now, pi cycle indicator has historically shown the top of every market. And so what does that mean? It means maybe the top isn't in. Maybe it will be in sometime in the end of 2026, or maybe even sooner. It's possible, but can we go down first before that happens? And that's my thesis is that's what's happening here. I mean, we are down. Let's just do some math. From the top. Right here, it's 126K. We are currently down 40% from the top. We broke the upward trending support. We retested it as resistance. We broke that bear flag, dropped down to 80K and broke that. If we break the 70K, this support here at 73.8, and we get below that, then chances are the next, believe it or not, let me just show you. The next, this was the previous bull flag before we broke out. Most people don't do lines like this, but I've noticed that it's pretty accurate. Is that this was resistance, 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 breakout support. It will be support somewhere in here, probably at the 48 at the 50K zone, which is right here on this support line. And it probably will happen right where these two converge. Now, is it possible that we drop that far that quickly? Because that's only, Niko, you're talking about next week. Well, yeah, let me show you something. Let's go back to the last bear market. Soon as we broke this very similar situation where we came down and bounced, created a bear flag, and dropped through. This is the daily chart. When we broke through, we went from 35K here down to 25K. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. We consolidated in a giant bear flag. For, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, maybe a month. Yeah, from May 12th to June 12th. Exactly, a month. And then we drop here from 29K to 17.4 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. So if we count these 8 days and these 6 or 7 days, we drop from almost 40K up here, 38. Well, actually it was 40K at the top of that wick to 17.5 in a month and 12 days, a month and a half.
Hey, you were talking, I've been here for about a year and I've heard about the CME gap at 30K for many months. Given the market structure now, what's your take on the, I guess, probability of that? Revisiting it to clear it out.
You know, guys, I mean, I'm not trying to sound arrogant or cocky, but it's probable, honestly. I would say 40, I would say the 45 to 55 zone is a nice low, but what's probable, I mean, what's possible is 20 to 30. Okay. But what's probable, it depends, guys. I mean, there is a lot that can happen in between now and then. But if let's just say we just eliminate all of the, let's do a process of elimination. If we just look at the charts alone and forget and just block out, put our blinders on, block out all of the noise that's happening in the world, then this is just normal bull market, bear market cycle. If we say this time is different because of all of the stuff that's going on in the world and the Clarity Act and all of these things that are positive about crypto, then shouldn't we have a huge, shouldn't we not have a bear market dump and have we should have a huge pump to the upside? That sounds logical, but it also sounds emotional. It sounds like what you want to happen, not what actually is happening. So I look at emotionally, yes, I want that to happen. I was hoping I got a lot of XRP and yes, the value of what I bought is below. Well, I bought a lot of it at 49 cents. You guys remember back in we were trading XRP back when it was 50 cents. So I did accumulate at that price. In fact, I think I might be up still, but if XRP drops below $1, I might be losing. The value might be down, but then I would just buy more at a lower price than dollar cost average. So, but to answer your question of what is possible, let's go look at the CME gap just so everybody understands what we're talking about. Bill, are you on? Oh, here it is. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Oh, never mind. I always forget which one it is, but so here we are. I already had it all drawn up. I already had it all marked up, but this is the CME Bitcoin futures CME. And as you can see, we did have a gap here that was filled. So what the CME gap is, guys, is that gaps, whenever there's a gap in the market like this, where we just gap up, you don't see this on your Phemex charts when you're trading, but on the CME futures charts, we had a gap. Gaps usually get filled sometime in the future. This one right here got filled right here. Boom. Took a while. And then we did have another one. Where was it? Let me go to the daily. It's easier to see them sometimes. This one right here was the one I was just talking about. This one right here got filled. This one got right here, got filled right here. This one right here got filled right there. This one way over here didn't get filled until just here. Boom. And then let's come down. This one got filled here. Let's come down. This one got filled here. I don't think we have one at 30K.
No, we have a fair value gap on the weekly time frame at 33K almost exactly, but the CME gaps are at 20 and 54.
This one got filled here. Yeah. So the fair value gap is where? 38 or 30?
The fair value gap's at 54,000 and the other one's at 20,000. And I think they're easier to see maybe on the 4-hour chart.
On the CME futures?
Yeah. Yeah. They're not very big.
Yeah.
They're only a few $100s, but they're there.
Yeah, they tend to get filled, guys. I would say 70-80% of the time. But with that being said, that's all part of the big picture here, which is that when we look at bull and bear market cycles going back over time, there's an old saying in trading that men lie, women lie, but the charts don't lie. That's been something that's been said for decades. What they mean is that it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. Doesn't matter what you heard on the news. Doesn't matter what they're gonna do. Doesn't matter what they say is gonna happen. The charts are telling you what's actually happening, right? And so if you were to just put blinders on and just focus on the charts, you would be right more often than you're wrong. The problem with the world is that there's so much information, there's so much news and opinions everywhere that we get confused. Well, this person said this, and I trust him because he was right last time. This YouTuber, this guy's famous. He must know what he's talking about. This guy over here said that we're going to 250,000 by January 1st. Whatever. And you're hearing all this stuff out there. And I laugh on most of the time when I see some of these things. Smart people too, like hedge fund managers. Kathy Wood talking about Bitcoin hitting 350 before the end of the year. I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, what are you looking at? And then I'm thinking, okay, well, she's smart. She runs a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund. She must know something I don't know. So we then start to even question our own experience of looking at charts because these pros, these experts out there, but then you have to understand, what do they have to gain by telling you that? The people who have YouTube channels who talk about nothing but positive uptrends have the most followers, the most likes, the most hopium. The people who talk about bear markets and the markets dumping and stuff like that, people unlike their videos, they put thumbs down on their videos, and they unsubscribe. It's not a popular opinion, unfortunately. Telling the truth is not popular sometimes.
Are you going to continue? You're famous in our eyes. So are you going to continue to monitor this and tell us when kind of your speculation to get out on these trades?
Oh, well, for sure. That's what I do every day for a living here, guys. So yes, I'm constantly, that was almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm posting emergency live call on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. So, which, whenever I see something, I try to bring it to everybody's attention as quickly as possible. But yes, for sure. It's just that when I look at this, it's hard to not see it. And we got some other people on here that have been doing this for a long time. They don't, and Chad is very good at what he does, but he's not 100% convinced that this is going to happen yet. And there's nothing wrong with that. Chad, everybody's got their own opinion. Chad could be right too. We could have this huge surge back to the upside. We could have this parabolic move. The Clarity Act could pass and billions could pour in, and all of a sudden, boom, Niko's wrong. That could happen, I'm telling you right now. But I cannot make my decisions based on the unknown. I have to look at the charts and what's actually happening. I hope you guys understand that. So when I'm giving you these, when I'm telling you this, it's not guaranteed. I cannot guarantee anything. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. And there's too many. I've been doing this a long time. Again, I went to OTA. I was taught how to do what's called price action trading and technical analysis from hedge funds that actually teach their traders to do the same thing. It's all price action, and they make their decisions based on what the charts are telling them, and support, resistance, liquidity zones, all that stuff. And really, now, unless there's some insider information, I'm sure a hedge fund would act on that, right? But I don't have all that insider information. All I can do is look at the charts. And what do we see? We see major bearish divergence. We're underneath the floor. Now, let's look at this. Let's just look at the RSI down here. Back here, when we got under the floor, guys, it's bear market. This right here was COVID crash. We got under the floor right here, boom, in 2020, and we got right back above it. We didn't hold below it. Here was the last bull market in 2021 going into 2022. Lower highs. We get down to the floor. We bounce. We try to escape. We try to get out and make a new high, but it didn't work. And then we come back below the floor, and that's bear market. It's not rocket science. And then here, it's very similar here, guys. If we look here, we hit the high, which was back here at 70, 68K, 73.8, right when we broke previous all-time high. That was the high on the RSI. We've had higher highs ever since and had lower highs ever since. And here we got below the floor, right here on this giant dump. And then we come up to try to break out. Just like here, we come up to try to break out. At the same time of the year as this one. At the same time in the bull market, bear market structure. At the exact same time, we have this giant M, possible head and shoulders, giant M, possible right shoulder of a giant head and shoulder with the same bearish divergence breaking below the same floor very similarly. And what happens after this, guys, when we're not only below the floor, but we came up and retested it. And remember the other day, a couple weeks ago, I was drawing this saying, we got to get back above the floor and we got to hit this. And then we might pump up to 100 or 105, remember? But if we can't get back above this, which is the moving average, and look what happened. It hit the floor and dropped. Boom. I'm sorry, but normally, like I said, if I didn't have an audience, I wouldn't be. The only reason I'm even questioning myself sometimes is because I have to be very careful what I say, because some of, when you're talking to 20, 30, 50, 80, 100 people, we got 117 people on this call right now. Not everybody hears what I say. Some people hear that I say we're in a bear market going down to 20K. And some people understand that, yes, it's still possible for this time to be different. But here's what would have to happen. We would literally have to come all the way back up to above 98K and hold it as support for a day at least. Not just a big wick up. We'd have to get back above this, which would be like this right here. Let me just show you the similarities. In the same structure that we're in. So, at the same time, by the way, this was October, November, boom, December, January, boom, December, January. Now, just because it did it before, I got to put a disclaimer. Just because it did it before doesn't mean this time it's going to do it again. But until I see something different happening, I can't say this time is different, unfortunately. The only thing I see different this time is all the fundamentals, all the news, all the media, all the reports about all the things that are supposed to happen. That is different this time for sure. We got a president who's crypto friendly. We got the Genius Act, the Clarity Act. We got all this legislation and regulations trying to take place. We got billions of dollars pouring into ETFs. That's all positive. That is, there's no doubt. That's all great. But this is when the Bitcoin ETFs happened right here. 2 years ago in April. They got approved, 13 of the largest hedge funds in the world, Bitcoin ETFs. And we still went down for 280 days before breaking out to a new all-time high. And so just because good news is happening doesn't mean that's going to cause the pump. In fact, Trump was just saying yesterday or the day before live that it used to be years ago when the government would give good financial news or interest rate cuts or whatever, that would pump the market. Now the opposite is happening.
Niko, I have
Hey,
a question.
Niko. Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Mark. Niko, I have a question as far as could I get any type of advice as far as like the altcoins? I'm not concerned about like Ethereum, XRP, Solana. I'll hold those, if I need to trip it to the next
Everything else, before you even finish your question, everything else, I personally would sell and convert to the top three. Me personally. Everything.
even
I don't
even
care
at
what it
even
is.
even at a huge loss.
Well, I mean, if you're down 80%, here's the problem. Some people are down 80% on shit coins. When I say altcoins, I mean things like Tron and things that just may not ever come back. You know, I'm not saying Tron's not good. I'm just saying that. I'm just an example. There's a lot of coins out there. Uh, what the hell? Yeah, let me just think of some names here. My brain's not working. Let me go look at my own portfolio because I've consolidated a bunch of stuff. Dipe list, so many. I don't even have them anymore. But things that we thought were good, that we thought were going to do stuff.
Well, I guess I guess I was just waiting for the, the altcoin season. That's the one thing I see you talk about the structure and the 4-year cycle. That's one of the things that hasn't happened as well that has happened in the past. So,
Here's what I've seen last time. A lot of people bought altcoins and they went down because they were buying at the wrong time. That's just a lesson we all have to learn. We buy at the wrong time. We buy at the pumps. We buy when everybody's excited about something. And then there's a big pullback. But just because you're down 80% doesn't mean you can't go down another 80%. I hate to tell you that, but that's the reality of the situation. So you might say, well, I hate to sell right now because I'm down 80%, but you're gonna be forced to sell if it drops another 80%. And then you're not forced, but you can, some of these things will go to zero. And let me just show you what I'm talking about here. Let me just show you some charts on some things that just haven't done shit for a long time. Let me and then they're just kind of withering away and people are holding on like for dear life thinking, but this is going to come back someday. This was big, man. I remember this one.
Shiba.
Shiba. Let me look at it. Yeah, I mean, if you're part of the Shiba army, Shiba Inu. I mean, Shiba Inu was up 203,000% lifetime. I mean, since its inception at one point. But if you look at the last year, I mean, it's down 62% and just falling. Let me just share my screen. So when we look at this, I mean, a year going down. Yes, there's some little pumps on the way down, but where is it heading to? Look at the price. It's already below zero. 0.00000. How many zeros you need before you get to all zeros? Because what is it for? What is it going to do in the future? What are they going to use it for? Everything is going to go to utility-based tokens. Once there's a Clarity Act and once there's infrastructure, do you think that any crypto that serves no purpose is going to serve a purpose? If it serves no purpose, what would be the purpose of it? Right? So the way I look at it is, I mean, for fun, you think it's just going to go up in value for fun? You think people are just going to start investing in this again someday? It had its day in the sun. It had its big pump. People got excited about it. It made its debut. It's kind of like a one-hit wonder. It's like Milli Vanilli. It has its big thing. People buy the record and then they disappear and it never comes back. It turns out to be a scam. It turns out it was lip syncing. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't. And then all of a sudden, no one buys anymore. And that's what happens. They die a slow death over time. So if you're sitting on millions of these things because you think someday it's going to come back, I'm here to tell you it's probably not going to come back. Now, could I be wrong? Could there be a new surge of Shiba Inu, lovers that come out and buy tons of it? And it goes up from 0.0000006 cents to 0.00008 cents. And you make, I don't know how many millions you'd have to for that to make money for you. But I personally don't. I'm not. That's hopium. That's, first of all, that's ignorant investing. So I would get rid of it and convert it. Convert it to what? So I'm still holding a lot of XRP and Bitcoin, but I also have some dry powder, USDT, sitting there because I'm also shorting. So unlike now, if I wasn't trading, guys, if I wasn't trading like I'm doing right now, and I was able to make money on the way down, then I would be converting almost everything to USDT and sitting there like Warren Buffett, sitting with a big war chest of cash. And then August, September, October, I would be dollar cost averaging back in. And why then? Because that's probably when we're going to near the bottom of a technical bear market. When I say technical, I want you guys to understand what I mean. Technically, if this is a bear market, technically, if the charts are correct, then the technical end of the bear market will be October, the first week or two. That will be probably the bottom. Okay. Now, so sometime in August, September, October, nearing the end, I will be really, really looking at what's happening. And why do I think that's the end? Because historically, and I can only go by the charts, this is the technical part of my brain working here, not the emotional part. Anything could happen. XRP could get some multi-billion-dollar government contract. The government can come in and say XRP is going to be the one. Shit, they could say that about Ethereum. They could say that about Solana. I don't know, but let's just say it's XRP. XRP could literally jump up to $5 out of the blue, decoupling from everything else, and become the golden child of the crypto space. Okay, well, good thing I have a lot of it sitting there in case that happens. I would probably get stopped out of my short on my trade on XRP, but I will be in profit when that happens also. So I will get stopped out in profit, and I will be okay with that. I hope that happens because I will make so much money on the hodling accounts and the amount of XRP that I have just sitting there because I'm not risking that. I'm not converting that to USDT and trying to buy back later at a low price. I'm going to buy at a lower price with other money, with all the other shit coins and altcoins that I know aren't going anywhere over the coming years. I convert all of that to USDT and let it just sit there as dry powder. If you don't have a bunch of that stuff to convert, you can put your own cash in. You can buy USDT and let it just sit there in Coinbase or something like that, ready for the dump. And you know, this is not advice, guys. I have to be clear. I know you're here for advice, but I have to be careful. Disclaimer, you know, it's not financial advice, but this is what I'm doing. You can read between the lines. That's what I'm doing. Am I always right? No. Have I gotten good at this? Yes. Do I see the writing on the wall? I think I do. Could I be wrong? Yes. I have to be clear on all that stuff. And I hope you guys understand that. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it's a difficult task for me to be in. It's a difficult position to be in because I know that you guys are counting on, you know, on things. And I just hope you understand what I have to just be careful. And if things go the opposite of what I said, as long as you're using proper money management and proper risk management, then you will live to trade another day. You will not get hurt. You could get stopped out, but if you're in the trades that I gave already, guys, let's just go back and look. I'm up $1,300 on the 3 open positions that I gave last night. Let's just see, can we move our stop losses to closer to break even or in profit? Now I'm up 34% on Solana. I'm up 44% on XRP, and I'm up 27% on Bitcoin short right now. So I could move those stop losses in profit. Me personally, I'm going to leave it where it's at for now, because if I'm wrong here and this just shoots up out of the blue against my shorts, right? I will take a loss. That's the risk that we take trading. I will take a loss. But if it goes a little bit lower, if Bitcoin can get to, it's at 77, if Bitcoin gets to, let's say 76.8, 70, somewhere in the under 77 range, I will move my stop loss to at least break even or in profit, probably on all of these. Let's just look at Solana again. Did someone have a question? I heard someone about to talk.
Oh yeah,
I was just going. Oh,
go
ahead.
Go.
I was just going to say on your weekly chart, if you draw that floor line that you have at the top of last year's bull market, it directly lines up with the top of this one, and it clearly shows that we broke that floor.
On Bitcoin,
Yeah.
if we go from where? The previous bull market top?
Yeah, that floor that you drew, that little triangle, if you extend the bottom of the floor to this year's cycle.
This line here, this upward trend?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we definitely broke below that and retested it and dropped.
Well, I mean, from the previous one and that one
Oh, I see what you're
coincide
saying. I see what you're
with
saying.
each other. It's interesting how that
Yes. So
lines up
if I take
directly.
these, yeah,
Yeah, just
over
like
here,
that.
this one here, yeah. Yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's just interesting to see that in 4 years the upward trend is flawless.
Yep.
Niko, just out of curiosity, when you say you keep a percentage in powder, a percentage in XRP, and a percentage in Bitcoin, would you consider like 30%, 30%, 30% across the board?
Yeah, and this is not something everyone can do. You know, my mother's like, well, if it drops down, I won't have anything to buy the unless I convert. And so I did. I told her, I said, well, because and my mother, I think I've told this story before. She started buying Bitcoin when it was like $8,000. She's not a trader, but she wants to. She's bored. She's 84 years old. She likes to do this stuff. She likes to look at the charts. She loves just to see the ups and downs. She texts me every day. What's going on? Is this drop going to ever end? You know, that kind of stuff. So, but she's way up. She's way up. Just hodling, never trading, just dollar cost average. Bitcoin would have to drop below, I believe, I think her average purchase price now is like in the 29, 30K range. If she, because she's been buying since 8K. So it would have to drop below 30 for her to go negative. So, but she's still down like $150,000 from the top because she has a bunch of Bitcoins now, and Bitcoin dropped from 126 down to 80. So she's feeling the pain. So what should she do? I said, well, when it gets down to, if it does get down to 30, 40, 50K, you start buying again. Well, I don't have any cash to do that. So that's going to suck. So what do I do? So you take, and my guys, just remember, this isn't advice to you. This was advice to my mother. And if I'm giving my mother this advice, it should mean something. So earlier in the year, I told her to take a whole Bitcoin, and convert it to XRP. Now, since she's done that, XRP has come down. So was that good advice? But Bitcoin has come down. Now, what she could have done is converted it to USDT. So I told her now to convert half of that back. Let's just say 50,000. Let's just for round numbers. Let's take 50 grand and put it in USDT. Keep your rest of your Bitcoin in Bitcoin. Don't change anything. Just leave it. And then, because there could be a crazy move to the upside, there could be something that happens, and you don't want to, if you sell everything and convert everything to USDT in hopes that you're going into a bear market and you're going to wait for the bottom to buy it all back, and then it pumps up against you, and you then get greedy and try to buy it back now because you feel like you made a mistake, you're going to take the fees for selling, and you're going to get a fee for buying it back, and you're going to be buying it back at a higher price. So I would say this is a risky game of shuffle. So if you had, just for an example, if you had 3 Bitcoin, some of you, this may not apply to you guys, but if you did, you can just do the math on anything you have. If you have 3 Bitcoin and you take 1 Bitcoin and convert it to USDT, leaving you now with 2 Bitcoin, you now have 80 grand cash in reserves. If Bitcoin does drop down to, let's just say 30K for the sake of this example, and you take that 80K and you buy now 2 Bitcoins down here with the 1 Bitcoin that you sold up here. You didn't sell it, you converted to USDT, right? You've just doubled your Bitcoin. Now, if you just would have left it up here, the value of that 1 Bitcoin that you left up here would be cut in half down here. And then you got to wait for it to come all the way back up just to get break even. So what I told her to do was take one of them, convert it to USDT, and wait. And then when it does, if it does get down here, you buy back as much Bitcoin as you can at that price, which in her case would be like 2.2 Bitcoin. And then if it bounces here and climbs all the way back up, which it would probably, that 2 extra Bitcoin, by the time it gets back to the price that she converted that 1 Bitcoin, she will now have 5 Bitcoin now worth back to 80K each again, instead of the 3 that she had, right? So that is a strategy, but this has to happen in order for that to work. What if I told her to convert the Bitcoin, one of them, to USDT, and instead of it coming down to 30, it just goes up from here because some crazy thing happens in the government or whatever, and everybody just piles back in. Let's just say that happens. Well, then she still has the 2 going up, and she also has 50K or 80K in cash from and USDT sitting there as dry powder that she could either reinvest or put it in some other crypto like XRP, because that will be pumping too if that happens. But guess what? She can buy how many XRP can she buy with 80K compared to how many Bitcoin can she buy at 80K? You know what I'm saying? So then the strategy would be then buy a lesser expensive coin that has the same opportunity. So Bitcoin doubles to 200K, XRP could 8x or 10x up to $5, $10 from $1. It could 10x from $1. It could 10x all the way up to $10. So her 80K could make her 800K if she puts it in XRP rather than just doubling to 160K if she buys Bitcoin. Does that make sense? So to answer your question, percentage-wise, it would probably have to be. It is an individual thing, guys. It's based on your own risk tolerance and how much you actually have. But hopefully, what I just explained makes sense. A portion, but not everything. You don't want to risk everything. Look at Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is sitting on a war chest of about, what was it, 20 billion or 200 billion, some ridiculous amount of money. The most he's ever been in cash, ever in the history of his investing life, he is in cash right now. Why? Why would one of the smartest investors in the world be sitting on that much cash? Because he knows what's coming. It's a crash, and he's going to buy back at the bottom when everybody's fearful. He's going to get greedy, and he's going to start buying in. This is what he's been doing for 50 years. That's why he's one of the richest men in the world. And so it's not emotional. It's tactical. It's strategic. Now, did he sell everything? Did he sell all of his stock to do that? No. He sold the ones with the least likelihood to perform. He sold the shit. He got out of all the crap. And this is kind of what I'm advising, or what I'm telling you, as far as all of the meme tokens and the altcoins that are just fizzling away over the last couple of years and getting lower and lower and lower in value. Are they ever going to come back? Should you cut your loss? Should those be the ones that you go into dry powder with? Dry powder, for those of you who don't understand the terminology, just means back to liquid cash, just waiting for the best opportunity to buy back in. Because a lot of times people see the opportunity to buy and they don't have any money to buy because they're already invested and they're already sitting at a loss. And sometimes you got to be sitting on cash. A lot of people say, well, cash goes down in value over time. I say this. The purchasing power of the dollar goes down at 8 to 10% per year. You can't sit on money too long because it's going down in value, and you got to buy something that holds its value or goes up in value. Real estate, crypto, stocks, whatever. But the ideal situation, everybody wants to be a millionaire. And what does that mean? Everybody wants to have millions of dollars sitting in the bank. But if you have millions of dollars sitting in the bank, it's sitting there doing nothing but going down in purchasing power because of inflation and the printing press of the US dollar. It just keeps getting less and less valuable over time. But you need it in order to invest. So it's a double-edged sword. So it's best to have all three. It's best to have money sitting on the sidelines for opportunities to be able to strike when an opportunity hits. It's also good to already be invested in things that are going up in value. But as far as the amount or the percentage of your portfolio that you should be doing that with, that is kind of an individual thing. I would have to probably talk to you personally, unless you want to talk about your personal finances right here on this live call, you're welcome to do that. And I can tell you what I think. But if you want, you can send me a DM and your exact situation. I'll be happy to tell you what I would do. I can't tell you what to do, guys, because it's very risky for me to do that. But I can tell you that what makes sense. And you got to protect yourself as well. I personally am not getting out of my Bitcoin, but I did convert some. And I also, but only to buy it back at a lower price, not because I don't think Bitcoin's going to go to zero. No, but if I just look at the technicals and I just look at the overall market structure and I look at history, every one of these pullbacks, guys, every one of them going back over time, every one has been 70 to 80%. Every one of them. Right? So when I look at that, 77%. When I look at that right now, so far, we've only pulled back from the top 40%. Half, approximately. Now, does that mean this time is going to be the same as every other time? But no, it doesn't. And this time could be different. I have to say that. But has it ever been different? Has it ever been different? Every time, every bull market, listen, 93% bear market, 86% bear market, 83%, 76%. Okay, looks like it's getting less. Look at this. That's true. Look at this, 93%, 86%, 83%, getting less, 76%, getting less. So what if this one's only 60%? That's 48K. Let's just say. Now, why would it go down any further? Maybe 40% is the bottom. Well, here's why. Because 40% brings us at 70 in between at the 75K range, right? Which was a bounce here. When we hit it, it was resistance at 73.8. When we broke through it, it was support at 74, right there, 74.5. We bounced and we just hit 75 right now, and we're not bouncing yet. If this bounces, that would be our last hope, staying above 70. And then we would still have to get above 95 and hold that as support to even get back up to 121. And then we'd have to break through that and hold that as support. And none of this is showing that that's about to happen, guys. In fact, every other indicator is showing us that we are going down first before we go up. So that's why I'm having this call right here, is because this is just what's happening, So I can't make anything up. I can't tell you what I wish would happen. I can't. Let's all just close our eyes, guys, and visualize and be positive. No, that's not how it works.
Niko,
Yeah.
I have a question about the XRP. I made the mental move that helped me to grow in this whole thing about always wanting to go long. So I followed your advice and had a bunch of altcoins in longs, and they were up. I went ahead and closed everything, and then reopened the 3 shorts that you mentioned from last night. And I understand with the Bitcoin going down to the CME gap possibly. So in the short term, would the XRP potentially get down to I think you did say it, but could get back to the retest the 120 range or 130 before it moves to the big move once Clarity Act hits and things like that?
Yeah, until XRP decouples from Bitcoin, until it literally decouples and it's no longer correlating, it's probably going to drop with Bitcoin, with the bear market, if we're in a bear market. Again, I keep saying if, because this time could be different. I'm just right now. You guys, let me just see a show of hands, or everybody come off mute, or just put it in the chat. Everybody understands that what I'm saying when I say that the difference between technical analysis and what the charts are saying and what could happen. Everybody understands, right? Everybody understands that if there's some major crazy new revelation, Trump kicks out the Federal Reserve, puts a new guy in, which he just did. He just did. Schwartz or Schwarz or whatever his name is. He basically put a new guy, his guy, in the Federal Reserve to clean everything up. They're trying to get off of globalism and trying to get to America first. All of this stuff is great, right? All of that. I mean, it sounds so good. But while it's happening, the charts are showing something different happening. And so until all of those changes actually go into effect and there's actual clarity and there's actual agreement and billions flow in, and by the way, if you think that this is not manipulated and intentional, you would probably be wrong. In other words, if the powers that be and the financial institutions and the BlackRocks of the world, by the way, Larry Fink, BlackRock, smart guy, very smart. They know what they're doing. But what they do is they make money in either direction. They don't care because they make money on fees. They make billions on fees, transaction fees, all kinds of fees. That's how they make their money. And they cycle money around into different things. And so they're not just hoping that Bitcoin goes to $1 million. They bought here. They opened up ETFs here. They sell here billions. They move it into XRP ETFs. That takes time to consolidate. And then they buy while they're selling, and then when it gets down to, and you say, how is it possible that they're buying and the price is going down? Because they're not buying on the retail market, XRP. They're buying it OTC. They're buying it directly from the Ripple headquarters, the main guys. They're buying it over the counter. They're buying it behind the scenes. There's billions still there. And once that depletes, just like Bitcoin did, by the way, Grayscale was buying Bitcoin from down here. Buying. They had billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. As soon as the 13 of the largest hedge funds in the world created their ETFs, you would think that it was going to shoot to the moon. Everybody was excited thinking that Bitcoin's about to go to the moon right here because the ETFs were just announced, got approved from the SEC. And what happened? 280 days, 7 months of downward trending before it finally popped up to 108K. Why? Because they weren't buying the Bitcoin on the retail market from Coinbase. They were buying it from Grayscale, who already accumulated billions of it. And once Grayscale's pile got depleted, then they had to buy OTC. Then it went up. Same thing with XRP. So you just have to understand what the whales are doing. And do you think that they want to buy billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and XRP at these prices? No, they'll rather buy it down here. So let's go back to your question with XRP, because XRP, it could go lower than the $1.20, guys. I'm sorry to say, but it could. Let's just go look at it. I don't know. I don't know how low it can go before it finally pumps. But I can tell you this, if you were a billionaire, multi-billionaire, and you had $1 billion to put into it, would you rather buy it at 75 cents or $1.60? Can they cause this to happen in order to get it a better price, in order to liquidate everyone, in order to take all of your crypto from you, in order to get the retail market to panic and sell everything before they buy in? Ryan says 25 to 30 cents worst case. Yeah, it can happen, guys. It is possible. Now, for the last couple months, if you've been on my calls, I was telling you that we had to stay above this floor. We've been above this floor for a year. And every time it hit this floor, it bounced pretty high. Hit the floor, bounced pretty high. Hit the bottom of the floor, bounced. Hit the top of the floor, bounced all the way up to 360. We wicked. This was the big dump on October 10th, where we dropped all the way to $1.20 or so. Bounced right back up. Billions came in. Boom. And then we trended down, hit the floor, bounced, hit the floor, bounced, hit the floor. We just didn't bounce, but we went through it. And we still could bounce because we did do this before where we wicked down. But you remember when this happened, guys, it got sucked up immediately. This is the daily chart, and this is a wick. It's not even a candlestick. It didn't stay here at all. It just went right back up and then held support up here again. These are candles trending down. And we are at $1. what are we at? $1.59, guys. We just breached the $1.60 floor again. So are we going to hold below that or not? And it does have to hold below it for like a day, I would say. Like, in other words, this candle has to come down and the next candle has to open below this floor. And the next and have a whole candle underneath the floor on the daily. But if we go to the hourly, this is it. Here's the floor, this red line. We hit it, went through it, held as resistance, got back above it, and then now we're back below it. And on the day, on the hourly, we have a candle, we have a wick down below the floor, and we have a candle starting below the floor on the hourly. So is that an indication of things to come? Will the next candle open below the floor and go lower? And the next candle open below the floor to go lower. And we have 24 of these until on the daily time frame, we have a whole candle below the floor. Yeah, it's possible. And if that happens, well, you see this white line here? Let's zoom out and see what that is. That is the overall downward trending channel that we've been in for a while. I try to be as conservative as possible with the lines to touch the majority of the bottom touch points and the previous resistance. Resistance, went wicked above it, came back below resistance, resistance, broke above it, support. Hit the top, whoops, hit the top, top. This is where we wicked all the way down to 120, but we came right back up and boom, held the floor. Held the floor. Floor. We hit the floor here, boom, wicked below it, held resistance, did not make a lower low, hit resistance, went back above. Hit it again here, boom. And did we hit it here? Nope. Close, but no cigar. We would have to come down to probably 140, somewhere in this range, just to hit this floor. Will we bounce when that happens? Probably yes. Boom, but how high? Could we just go sideways? Could we come all the way and go lower? Yes. So it could be like this, where we hit it and we go up to the center line and just come down and hit it again. But also, guys, if this continues, it could be it could just go, let's just take this out and see where it goes. If it stays in this channel, it may break out of this channel. Channels don't last forever either, right? But let's just bring this down a little bit and see what we're really looking at here. If that was to continue. I mean, this orange line that I have right here is that 120 where that big drop was. Do I think we're coming to that? Yes, unfortunately, because we're below the floor here. And we're doing it slowly. That would be a big double bottom, possibly a big bounce right there. And it will probably happen where this downward trending support hits that line. So I would say, look at the date, guys. That's March 10th. This is happening very slowly right now. And that's what happens in a bear market. It's a slow grind down for a year. But the year didn't just start, guys. The year started back here. The year started in October, right here, actually. This is where it starts. This is where the big, what do they call it? This is where it happened. Because this right here was about the top of Bitcoin at 126K. So, yeah, I mean, but if it gets below this, let me just show you what this chart looks like on XRP if we get lower than that. I don't like all this that's happening, but it is part of the game, guys, and you got to get good at it. So here's that line right there. I have it, but look at that. Look what it is. It's the previous high. It's a previous lower high from the last time back in 2017, where we were in this same very similar upward trending wedge. Okay. There's a couple places we could go. This is the market cap. This is the XRP market cap. But this price right here, that's at 80 billion. That's coming down to about $1.20 right there. That was this high right here. The next one below that is this one right here. Probably these here. So there's a couple levels. There would be some levels to this where we would have support. But it just all depends on the time frame. April, May, June, July, August, September. I mean, this is October right here. This would be technically speaking, if this was a bear market, that would be the bottom range. Somewhere in this time frame, it would be over here. And if this just continues to do this, you know what I'm saying? If it stays in that channel, which usually channels don't last that long, but it could. But what normally happens, guys, is this, where we have a channel that has just a big dump on it. Let me go to regular XRP. This is the price, US dollar on the weekly. We do have this upward trending support line going all the way back to when XRP was 0.004 cents. That would be somewhere in the $1.20, $1.35 range right here. So yeah, that could be it. That could be the big bounce. That's May, June, July, August, September, October, somewhere in here. And it could take that long, and we could have ups and downs and lower highs and lower lows and lower highs and lower lows on the way down. You see this from up here, guys. We dropped down from $3.60 down to $2.70, and then we pumped back up to $3.19, and then we dropped all the way down to $1.20 and pumped all the way back up to $2.70, and then we dropped down to $1.80 and then pumped back up to $2.40, and then now we're at $1.50. So if we do have a big pump, it doesn't mean we're going to the moon. It could just be, could just still be in this downward channel, and we could pump all the way back up to $1.87 and then drop down a little lower. So that's the problem. We don't know when the only way you know that this downward trend is over is if we pump up and break out of the downward trending channel. We break out of it. The only way to know that this downward trend is over is when we break out.
Hey, Nico.
Yes.
An off the wall question. Let's say you have 5,000 XRP at $3. Wouldn't it make sense to sell those 5,000 and rebuy back those 5,000 at $1.50, creating the loss because there's no wash sale rule, and then that way you have that loss in your pocket for the future?
It would make sense if you knew for sure it was going to $1.50 or $1.20. Yes. So, and people ask me that all the time. They're like, well, shouldn't I just, if it goes to $1.20, wouldn't it make more sense to sell right now and just buy it back at the lower price? Yes. If I have a crystal ball and if I knew for sure that it was going there, I would have sold everything and just sit there and wait. Right.
But I'm talking about selling. If you purchased 5,000 at
for tax purposes,
you're gonna sell that lot of 5,000, creating that loss. That way you have that loss carried forward for tax purposes.
For tax purposes, yeah. I mean, at this point, you bought it $3, you said? Yeah. So you already have a loss. Right.
Correct. I bought a chunk at $3.
Yeah.
And it was about 5,000,
Yeah, there's a couple ways to look at that. I mean, in a perfect world, if I knew for sure it was going there, yeah, that makes perfect sense. The problem is let's say you sell it, right, and take the loss right now. You still have you still have it for tax purposes. But what if right when you sell it, a day later, it pumps back up to $3? Now, if you go to buy it back, you're basically now it's costing you more because you sold it at a loss, and now you'd have to buy it back at a higher price. And so that wouldn't be good. So what's the alternative? The alternative is if it goes down to $1, let's just say, you buy another 5,000 at $1 if you could afford to do it. You buy another. Let's just say you did that. You bought 5,000 at $3. You bought another 5,000 at $2. You just dollar cost average and made your total investment, all $10,000 worth of XRP now, the average purchase price is $1.50. You just cut it in half. If you bought 5,000 at $3 and 5,000 at $1, your average purchase price now is $2, rather. I'm sorry. So that's dollar cost average. You could do that. So what I usually recommend people do is just buy more at the lower price, and it'll bring your overall cost down. It's hard for me to advise that because I don't know if it is going to go to $1.20 or $1 or 75 cents. But if Bitcoin does go down to 50,000 or 40,000, then XRP probably will get dragged down with it. And guys, even Jake Claver is saying this. He's saying that it could get a lot worse before it gets better. He does, he keeps saying it's going to go to $1,000, but he doesn't talk about what it could do before that happens. But I don't know if I answered your question or not, but yeah, I mean, it does on paper, that sounds logical. Yes. It's just that you just don't know if it is going to go down there. So if you do sell that for tax purposes, you still can take the loss for tax purposes, but it might not be the best investment. You might have made more money not selling it. In other words, because if it just jumps up to $5 out of the blue, you would have been better off holding your $5,000 worth at $3. You know what I'm saying?
But you don't have to wait a day. I mean, you could literally sell it now and buy it 5 minutes later and still have the same position, but your average is now $1.58 instead of $3.
Minus the loss you took on the sale. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you've accumulated that loss and you've and your position hasn't changed.
Correct. And BA King has a good point. You also have to factor in the cost of in and out of approximately 1% fees as well. Unless you have, if you're on Coinbase, guys, there is a special thing that they have where you can pay $29 a month for no fees, which if you're doing this a lot, that might be worth it for you. No transaction fees as long as you're buying and selling on their platform. But still the loss. So if you sold now, right now, you paid $5,000 at $3. You sell it right now at $1.58. Okay. You're taking a like a 50% loss. You're losing $2,500 worth right there. But if you were to buy it back at $1.58, that wouldn't make sense for you to do that right now. It wouldn't make sense for you to do that because you're kind of washing out. Here's why, because if you sold it right now and you took a $2,500 loss and then you bought it right back the next day at the current price, you wouldn't have more. You would have $2,500 worth at $1.50. But what if it goes down from there, down to $1? You basically be losing again. I would recommend that if you're going to go into dry powder, in other words, if you're going to sell, I would wait for a real bottom and to buy it back, or do a portion of it. Here's another idea for you. Sell half of it and wait for, let's say it goes down to $1, and then you buy back with that half of the money, you buy back whatever you can buy with that other half. And then let's say it does go back up to $3. At that point, you will then have more money. You will have more than you would have had if you just waited and held the whole time. So you're looking at tax savings. I'm looking at profit. They're not mutually exclusive. They're, obviously they both matter, but money saved is money earned, right? So if you can take a loss for tax purposes, that might sound good, but I would rather owe the tax and just make a lot more money. So I'm looking at profit more than I am tax savings, but I have other vehicles for tax savings. Also, you don't have to sell it. You could convert it to USDT, which they might say is the same thing as a taxable event, but stablecoin. But I'm not even sure anymore if they're being taxed on crypto, to be honest with you, if it's US based. I think that's part of the Clarity Act. I think that's part of the Genius Act. So I'm not sure if there is even a tax benefit anymore. I haven't read those. I haven't read the final laws on that yet, but I know that's what they're talking about.
Niko, could we look at your Solana technical analysis chart?
This is Solana right here. And Solana was in a back here in 2021, we hit Solana hit $257 and dropped. Oh my goodness. Holy cow. Look at that. 95%. Well, more than that. 96%. Came all the way back up. Hit previous highs as resistance. Resistance broke through a little bit. Held support for a day or two, a week or two. Fell below. Pumped back up to 302. Dropped below. Climbed back up. Hit resistance. Went above it again to 252. Didn't hold. And here we are. And so this is a big head and shoulder pattern on Solana. And here is the floor. And we just broke through the floor. So what do I think is going to happen with Solana, guys? Is this is why I'm short on Solana right now, is that if we have a very similar, I'm going to say maybe here. I'm going to say this could be the low. Still 70%, 77%. I would say the reason why is because we do have major resistance over here, and we had some resistance and support here on the way up. That would be probably a $58 level right there. So the reason why I'm in this short right here, guys, is because I want to gain. I want to hold this all the way to here. And by the way, when I think of the drop, I don't think it's going to take a long time. I think what we're looking at here, now that we just broke the floor on this head and shoulder. It could go much lower than that too, go down to $42, but I think we'll hit resistance right here first at 59, 58, 59K. I mean, $59. And if you're in a short from the short that I just gave, that will be huge, huge gain, guys. By the way, I talk about dry powder and buying more crypto back at the lower price. You do realize that if you're trading on a coin margin like I am right now, I don't need to buy it back. I'm accumulating it on the way down. So what that basically means is that let's go back to Solana here. I am on a Solana margin that on the way down, I'm just going to do the math here and see how much I would actually make on this trade. And that's without me adding more, which I will. But so here was the floor. Let me just draw the line here. We're breaking through. If it does what I'm thinking that it could do, let's say it goes to $58, that's a 47% drop to the downside. Why would it do that? It's already dropped. It's already dropped 54% from the top. That would equal a 90% drop, which is equivalent to every other bear market that it's done so far, or at least the last one. And then Solana, I have 1,000. Right now, I only have 1,000 contracts, which is very little money, guys. Very little money I'm playing with on the Solana. I just wanted to get it on the board because if it holds below this, if over the next day or two, we see that it really is holding resistance under the floor, I will add more contracts. I'll probably quadruple it. But let's just say it does go down that low. It's a 50% drop. I mean, it's not much money that I have on it right now, but if I bring that up to $1,000 instead of $100 right now, because again, sometimes when I take trades, I just want to get it on the board with low contracts and low leverage until I confirm that it's doing what I want it to do. Then I add contracts. but I am high on Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin does what I want it to do, we'll just use Bitcoin for an example, because if this gets to here, that means Bitcoin did go down to like, say, 50 grand.
So is this a typo on your signal for your stop loss?
No. Where? On Solana?
Yes.
Let's look. Solana stop loss $1.07. Let me look. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm at 107. It is a typo. Thank you for pointing that out. My bad. It's not going to $1.07. Right in here, right above my entry. Between that and my liquidation. It looks tight right now, but let me just zoom out so you can see. $1.07 would be right. Here's my entry short. $1.07 will be right here. And I'm gonna, I guess I didn't even put it in. Let me just put it in. I mean, not $1.07, 107, guys. I'm sorry, I keep getting confused. That's a 15% loss for me. There it is. But if we drop down to where I just said, that's a 40%, 7% drop to my, in order for that to happen, it would be like Bitcoin dropping down to, let's see, I got $4,500 on that times 47% equals, whoops, 4,500 times 47% equals 2,150 times 19x leverage. That would be a 40%, a $40,000 gain on this drop. But that's going to take time. This could take months to happen. But here's the thing that I tried to show you guys is that if you look at Bitcoin and if you look at all of these cryptos, when they do break certain support levels and it's confirmed bear market territory, then the drops sometimes happen very quickly. Like I showed you that it took only 7 days for us to drop in the last. Let's go over here and look at it up close. Right here, from here to here was like a week. This is the 4-hour chart. So if I go to the daily, one, 2, 3, 4, 5 days to really drop down a lot. And then again, it took a month of consolidating before it dropped down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. So these big drops this is 1 week, this is 1 week. So it can happen quick once it starts moving in that direction. That was the last bull market. That was the last bear market on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin drops that fast, I can assure you these other ones are going to go right with it. And what's going to make Bitcoin drop that fast? Breaking through. Well, I mean, just look at it. What has it done? This is the big breakout of that trend. We retested it, and right here when we broke out, and right here, I mean, look at this, 90K right here, $90,000 for Bitcoin. 1, 2, 3, 4 days. In 4 days, it dropped from 90,000 to 75K. Just over the last 4 days. We're already seeing big moves in a very short period of time. If it breaks the 70K, 75K and gets below this right here, the 74K, which is the previous support and resistance levels going all the way back to last year, 2 years ago. If it breaks that, we're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, big drops in 5 days, like very quickly. That's what happens. and then it consolidate. It'll do this. Oops. It'll do this where it drops and then it'll consolidate for a little while. This was November to January. I mean, obviously it can consolidate for a couple months, a month, but then boom, it's a giant bear flag, especially when it's below support. If that happens below support, then this would be this right here, this converging down here would be probably the next support level. And that's in the 48K range. It's hard for me to say we're going to 20 or 30, but I can say that if we break 70, we are probably going here. And that wouldn't even be, that would only be a 60% drop from the top, which is less than the last one, much less than the one before that, so on and so forth. It was 90%, 98%, then 93%, then 87%, and then 77%. So maybe a 63% drop. Maybe that's it. But we've already breached the upward trending support. We already had the head and shoulder. We already broke the support and retested. We already fell below that. And now we're coming down to the next support, which is the 70 to 74K range. And we wicked down to 75.5 and we did not really bounce. So let's just go down to the lower time frame and look. This was it here. Boom. We bounced, but we did not make a higher high. So we're coming back down to go lower, in my opinion. If we, let me just show you a difference. The difference between that and what a real bounce looks like. Let's just go back to here. This was the falling wedge when we hit 109K all the way down. We wicked right through it to this support at 74.5. Boom. Look how quickly we climbed out. We got above the downward trending resistance and held it as support. We got above it, and you see that red candle right there? We retested it and started to climb, made a higher high, got up here, held this as support, made a higher high, and we just kept climbing. That's what happens when you have a real bounce and breakout. But right here, what did we do? We hit it, and it was like a thud. It wasn't a bounce. It was like a flat basketball hitting the ground. Boom. Which now that means it's probably going to go lower. So we didn't have any big climb out. And we're still in the downward trending. It would have to get, again, it would have to get above this. Climb out. So guys, I was going to come on for like 30 minutes. It's been 2 hours now. Any questions?
So Niko, in a perfect world, we'd buy, well, actually we'd sell half of our coin when it hits the peak of the bull market and then use that coin to start shorting all the way down to the bottom and then buy back in, short for more coin.
I mean, if you were really just trying to make money, you would, if you knew exactly when the bottoms and the tops were in, you'd probably sell everything. And then, I mean, you could short on the way down, or you could just wait for the bear market bottom and buy back in and go long with huge leverage. There are traders that do that, guys. There's traders that trade once or twice every couple of years. I mean, they do big positions. Like they went long at 15.5 or 16 or 20K at Bitcoin once it broke out of the bear market bottom. Once it was confirmed that the bear market was over. I'll show you what that looked like down here. 1 year down, boom. We were calling the bottom here at 17K, boom. Bounced, came down one more time at 15.5. Once it started to make higher highs and hold, higher, higher high, hold as support, higher high, bounce, higher high, hit resistance here at 30K, 31K, resistance, broke through and never retested. This is why I always say 30K is still on the table, because we never retested 30K. But once we started getting here and getting above this, it was evident that, you know, the bear market was over. You go long here with $100,000 or $50,000, like some of the big guys I know. Crypto went long with $5 million at 10x leverage, and he made like 60 million on this trade out the way to the top. Then up here, as soon as he didn't get out here. He got out here when it broke previous resistance here. Once it broke the 105 or the 100, I can't remember which one. He then sold, and he made like a $40 million profit. And then, you know, he's not shorting this all the way down. He's going to wait. He's going to wait until the bottom when he thinks the bottom's in, and he's going to go long with maybe 50 million this time at 2x leverage, $100 million. Or he'll go along with $10 million at 10x leverage, which is 100 million contract, $100 million worth of Bitcoin contracts. And then if that goes up to 200 or 300K after that and makes a new high way up here into the 180, 190 in the next bull market top, he will make hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's like when you get to that level, you don't care about all these in and outs, shorts and scalps and all this stuff. You just make the big moves. Emmanuel says, why not short it down? Well, it's just riskier because we don't know ever if the top is really in, especially when the pi cycle and some of these things aren't showing that the top is in, and this time could be different, and you know, all these things. So but it's just, I guess you would, and I will, but it's because we're not, you know, the more money you have and the bigger money you have, the less risk you want to take with it. You want to be more certain on your trades, and it's much more certain to wait for a bottom and then enter then with a larger amount of money, knowing that all it did was reconfirm the bull and bear market cycles. And then, you know, if it truly is 3 years up and 1 year down, and 1 year down happens, then that's a confirmation that that's a bottom. So you get in at a bottom, and then you ride that up for the next 3 years. So would you rather do 1 or 2 trades a year and make tens of millions, or trade every day, multiple trades? So in the beginning, when you're learning this and you don't have millions to play with, you're learning and you're scalping and you're going long, going short, you're accumulating. That's what I do. I trade to accumulate so that I can get to that point. There will come a time, I will tell you this, guys, in the future, where I'm probably just going to my own personal money. I'll still teach every day. I'll still show everybody how to do it, but I'll be in one long trade. I'll just be one long position from the bottom, because I don't need all the stress of, no, I'll probably have sub accounts still scalping because I like doing it. But I will have that one big position open and ride it all the way up. And I hope that you guys are all here, because I want you all to do that, you know, to have that one great position from the bottom. Because even when I talk on my webinars and stuff, I tell people, I said, you know, you can make life-changing money within the next 1 to 2 bull and bear market cycles. You know, and it's like, so if you just happen to get into Crypto Renegades and start learning about this right when we're nearing the top of a market, well, you have the whole bear market to practice and make money on and accumulate. And then you have the bear market bottom, which could be the time to enter long with higher contracts. And if that happens, guys, let's say you only got long down here with 10 grand. 10 grand or 5,000, let's say 5,000, just to make sure it's more inclusive to the majority of the people. 5,000 at 10x leverage, you're playing with 50 grand. You have 50,000 contracts. You got 5,000 at risk, and it goes up to 250K in the next bull market. It could go higher, but let's just say it just goes to 250. That's a 670% move to the upside, which is the same as this one. Guys, if you remember, we went from 15.5 to 126. Look at that, 725%. 670%. Let's just say it does the same as last time, 725%. That would be 269,000. You got 5K on this? $5,000 times 725%. That's 36,000. And let's say you went long at 20x leverage. You just made 725K from $5,000 in one bull market cycle. From there, we think the top is in. That's when you can short, but you don't short it with all of this. You diversify. You want to protect this money now. You don't want to take another. You don't want to risk all this. So maybe you short the top with 100,000. You convert. You take like the gentleman was asking earlier. You take 600 grand and you move that over into either altcoins or other coins that we think might have a new run, or to stable coins, USDT or RUSD, whatever. It could be RUSD. It could be the Ripple stable coin by then. I don't know. And you go short with 125 grand here. And then we come back down. Let's say this happens again. History repeats again. And then we come back down from here, 260K, back down to retest 126 as the new bottom. 54% drop. Might be less than the 63% this one and less than the 70% the last one. But now you went short here with 125K and wrote it down. %, 67 grand times. Let's say you did that at 20x leverage. You just made another 1.35 million. When you're playing with bigger money, you make a lot bigger money. So when you start to play with bigger money, you don't want to risk it all. You want to be much more conservative on these. But you would only have to make one trade that year. You don't need to be in and out all the time. You can enjoy
Sorry, Niko. As far as keeping margin on your account, as far as say like Bitcoin, XRP, any of that USDT, what would you recommend? Because like in your I guess showing right there, 5,000 makes you 700 grand. Once that comes in, would you keep the 700 grand on Phemex, or would you transfer it out and then, you know what I mean? Because I hear a bunch that you shouldn't keep a massive amount of margin on any one platform at any time. So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, in that scenario, I would probably move majority of that over to cold storage. Yeah. Even USDT, even a stable coin, you can move to cold storage. I mean, if you wanted to convert it back to cash, you could too. You can send it to Coinbase, sell it. You can withdraw it from Phemex to your bank account.
If you make a lot of money in Phemex and you put it directly into a cold wallet, the government has no clue what, right?
Well, no one's reporting it, so they only know what you tell them. Phemex isn't reporting it, but you see down here on the bottom right, you can click your P&L history and you can download that and give it to your CPA and accountant if you want to report it, if you want to keep track of everything. But Phemex is not reporting on your behalf. They're not. They're in Singapore. They're outside of U.S. jurisdiction. So just like most platforms, it's up to you to report.
So Niko, all U.S. exchanges report to the government?
The new law just passed that even Coinbase no longer is required to report.
Oh.
They if they're asked. Now, centralized platforms have to comply with U.S. regulations. So if the IRS is auditing you and knows that you have a Coinbase account and asks Coinbase for your information, they are required to divulge it.
I see.
But Phemex does not require that. They're outside of U.S. jurisdiction.
So speaking of Coinbase, I have a question for you. And you might have addressed this before, and I'm sorry, I haven't been listening. But have you noticed that Coinbase is offering a lot of yields options, like for USDT, USDC, Do you ever, do you recommend participating in that stuff? Is there a risk? Or even like using their borrowing function through Morpho? Have you had experience with that?
Yep. I borrowed from them before. They're lending. I mean, Coinbase is a centralized exchange. It's a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange. They're one of the biggest. There are other companies out there. I think Uphold is one of them. There's a couple other ones out there.
Yeah, but some of those, and I'm not saying they're bad, but Coinbase, when it comes to borrowing, I mean, their rate is 5%, which is better than I can get on my mortgage, on a refi on my mortgage. So my wife and I decided to just take a loan on Bitcoin.
Yeah, just be careful how much, you got I think they only allow up to a certain percentage of your holdings, like 30%.
Yeah.
But back in the last bull market, they were loaning up to 60% against your Bitcoin. And they got hurt doing it. I mean, people got liquidated because when Bitcoin dropped 50%, that was it. People got margin called.
Well, they're allowing, I just did it this week, they're allowing up to 85%. But Bitcoin the price is dropping. It's like, what do they say? Catching knives. I mean, it keeps dropping. My loan to value keeps getting
Well,
off.
you'll get emails from them saying that you're going to get liquidated if you don't deposit more money into your Bitcoin account. If Bitcoin goes below a certain price, you could get liquidated on that loan.
Niko, I have a question.
That goes for all the, and I don't mean to get into the whole borrowing thing with you, but that goes for any of those formats. If I understand any of the platforms,
yes,
they will call your margin as the price drops if your LTV is out of whack, right?
That's correct. Which just means that you either have to pay back some of the loan or deposit more money into that account to prevent that from happening. And if you don't, they will liquidate the amount that they lent you. They will liquidate the amount of Bitcoin that they're holding as collateral to pay back the difference between the liquidation.
And then they give you the cash, I guess, right?
You already got the cash when you borrowed the money. So
I see.
Right. So you are losing something when you get liquidated. You're losing the Bitcoin that they were holding as collateral, but you already got a percentage of it in cash.
Yeah, but the one thing I'll add is it's kind of nice is like we looked at a refi and we don't have to make monthly payments on the interest, on the 5% interest with Bitcoin, but obviously you do with a refi. So
That's correct.
It's an interesting, I don't know, it kind of seems like an interesting play for us. We're trying it out.
Yeah.
I'll report back.
Just don't borrow too much against it. I would say stay under 50% at the most.
Yeah, I'm sitting at, I've got a full Bitcoin on there and I just pulled out like 40 grand, which is pretty much all I'm going to pull, I think, at the moment.
Yeah. Because if Bitcoin does drop down to 40 grand, you're going to have to put more in. You're going to have to put some money back in there to cover that. But
lose my biddy. Yep.
It's interesting times. I mean, a lot of people had that problem with Nexo back in the last bull market. They were loaning up to 60, 70%, and people lost all their, because the market just crashed. And now Bitcoin went from 68K all the way down to 15.5. They just got liquidated basically. Bill just posted a link, how to borrow against Bitcoin. There's some good information there. Thank you, Bill. It's in our Discord.
Thank you so much, man.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Hey, Niko, I had a quick question. So if you say you bought like XRP on Coinbase and you send it to Phemex, then let's say it was a bull run, you make a bunch of money, then you convert it to USDT or USDC, then send it back to Coinbase to send to your wallet or your bank account. You're saying now that they don't record that because like USDTs, is it considered a coin or is it considered just technically cash? They have no idea how much money you made with XRP on Phemex. All they're receiving is USDT, and they're like, for all they know, that could have been a gift from somebody, right?
Yeah, but on their ledger, it shows what you started with on their platform and what you currently have on their platform, and it will show if it's a gain. Like if you deposited $10,000 and bought Bitcoin on Coinbase, let's just say, and then you transfer that Bitcoin away to Phemex, and then a year later you transferred back $100,000 of USDT or Bitcoin, they're going to look at that as a 10x gain. Basically, you started with 10,000, now you got 100,000. So it's going to look like you're up, 1,000%.
Got it. Thank you.
But what they report is another story. From what I understand, they no longer are required by law to report it. But I don't know whether they will or not. I don't know what their obligation is or what their agreement is with the government or the IRS or anybody. So I would not, first of all, I'm never going to advise anybody to do anything to break the law. So I would say that plan everything as if you got to pay taxes on it, but you do use all the tools legally and lawfully to reduce your tax liability as much as legally possible. I don't personally worry about it myself. My goal is to make as much money as possible. If I owe a lot of taxes, it's because I made a lot of profit. So I would rather have that problem than not make any money at all. So my first goal is to make money.
Yeah. The only reason I asked is I saw a video the other day of one of the head IRS guy getting grilled from Congress, and he admitted that taxes are voluntary.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a big thing out there that's been going on for as long as I can remember, but that doesn't mean you can't get dragged into court and if you're not doing things properly, you could still get in trouble. So, they got more money to fight things than you do. So it's like I'd rather use legal loopholes and legal strategies and have accountants and CPAs take the liability off my hands, because I can say, hey, I got a professional accountant, a tax accountant, and real estate tax attorney who helped me set up these structures. They're the ones that are going to go to court for me if I'm ever questioned. They're the ones that are taking the liability. Now, the judge might say ignorance is no excuse for the law, but which is true. Just because you didn't know that you were doing something wrong doesn't mean you're not going to get punished for it, right? So that's why I always advise to take it, or get legal counsel on that. Will says just borrow from your crypto. Yeah, borrowing is the best way to avoid taxes. Don't sell. If you sell at a profit, it's a taxable event, regardless of what it is. So until the laws change, which Trump is trying to get rid of, and from what I understand, he did say something about no tax on crypto profits if you make it in the US from a US based crypto company. So I don't know when that goes into effect or if it went into effect, but he did say that. So I think that's the Genius Act or maybe the Clarity Act that's in the process of getting passed. He also said that he's trying to do away with income tax, federal income tax. Now that is not if the tariffs and all that stuff work, then taxes altogether might go away in the near future. But until they do, you still got to comply with the laws, right?
Hey, Niko?
Yeah.
How about Canton? Stay long in Canton?
Let me look at it real quick here. Canton is definitely not conforming with Bitcoin. Whoops, CC. You still in Canton? Along?
Yes, I am.
Good for you. So you should be up, right? Or let's see, where were we when I gave that signal? I got stopped out on it, but this is a giant cup and handle with a breakout. It looks like it still is bullish, which is very strange. It's this anomaly that's happening. I do think that, yeah, we could see up here in the 22 cent range probably. And it is just climbing, but this usually doesn't happen forever. See, as you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 green candles, 10, 11, 12 green candles. These didn't get higher. And then boom, we flipped. And then we consolidated for a little while. Now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Could we consolidate for a little while? I mean, if you got your stop loss and profit, I think that'll be good. But could this wick right here looks a little lower than this one? Could this be the beginning of another bull flag situation? Very similar to this one. And then we break out again.
Well, the way it's been bouncing around 17 cents yesterday, I was just taking profit every time I went up to 18.50 and back down again.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a fun one to trade, guys, because I think that this one is going to continue to go up. It's going to have periods where it consolidates, obviously. So you got to be careful when you get in. Obviously, getting in on the bottom of a bounce is better than getting in maybe right here. So I would wait. I mean, it looks like it is holding the support right now, but could this candle wick higher? I mean, this was higher, 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 higher. This one, not yet higher. This could be the time where it does one of these and then starts to do this for a little bit of a pullback. Generally, you don't have green like this forever. Usually we have a pullback. So I would be cautious right now. If you're already in, good. But for those of you looking at this, I would just wait. I would wait to see what's going to happen here. Obviously, if we break, I would say if we just get back above this candle right here at $1 at 18 cents rather, then and it might hold that as support. It would just continue up. Yeah, I'm not in any Canton longs right now, but it is an interesting one. And I think over the long term, Canton could be something that's really powerful in the marketplace, kind of like an XLM and XRP situation. Does have a lot of good. Let me just go back to it here real quick. Hold on. CC. Canton Networks layer 1 smart contract blockchain with configurable privacy and controls, solving for public network adoption, RWAs and TradeFi institutions. The network uses a 2-tier consensus mechanism, allowing for unlimited horizontal scalability of the network while maintaining full smart contract and interoperability across it. The global synchronizer acts as a network backbone for the ecosystem. Okay, there's a lot of mumbo jumbo there that, you know, needs clarification, but Canton Network tokenization is about increasing asset utility. I don't know what this is going to continue to say here.
Sounds like they were going to say not something.
Yeah, it's a continuation of a sentence there, but for some reason it's cut off. There is a lot of good news about it. Google it. Go on YouTube and search it. You're going to see the founder speaking and a lot of people interviewing them and all the things that are happening with it. So it could be something that could be really big in the future as well. You might want to just buy and hold some. You can't buy it on Coinbase right now. There are some networks, but you can here. But you can't buy it and hold it on. You can trade with USDT on Phemex. But as far as getting the coin, you might have to go to Dex Tools or something like that, or Pancake Swap or one of these other different platforms.
Okay, thank you, Niko.
You're welcome. All right, guys, I got to run and get ready. It's I got someone coming over here.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
At the beginning of this call, I did a reverse on XRP. If I wanted to put a stop loss, do I just open it as a short like I would start a new trade?
You went short or you reversed?
No, I reversed it because I was long, and now I'm in profit now.
Okay.
I'm glad I did, but I don't have a stop loss on it at this
Right.
point.
So here's what you do. You just come down to your open position down here. Go over to the TPSL section.
Yes, sir.
Click on whichever one it is that your open position you're talking about. Click on the little pencil right here.
Okay.
Click edit, and you can type in the exact stop loss amount, or you can put it in as a percentage here.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Slide this little thing right here to 10%, 20%, whatever. And then click confirm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bizarro, thank you. Have a great rest of your weekend, guys. BAK King says tax system is 100% voluntary system that you voluntarily assigned yourself to. Blah, blah. If you don't comply, they will drag you into court and hold you accountable to everywhere you signed your rights to financial freedom. You are no longer an American citizen. You gave up that right. Yeah, guys, there's a rabbit hole you can go down with the tax situation. You could expatriate. You could take your sovereignty back. There are legal ways to do all that, but it is a process. And there are people out there that do it and teach it and show you how to do it, where you can literally exit the system. But when you do that, you also have some other issues. You will now have banking problems. You will now not be able to do certain things in the system. And so you better either have your ducks in order or have a lot of money before you do that, or no, just understand all the things you're going to have to deal with in order to make that lifestyle work. So sometimes, sometimes it's the lesser of two evils just to comply and do all the things that the system is set up to do, because you can still get rich. You can make a lot of money. You can use the tax code in your favor. You can write off a lot of things. It's a complicated, complex structure of bullshit and minutia and monotony. But there's ways to do it. Obviously, there's a lot of rich people in this world that comply with all the laws, and the laws are written by rich people to protect themselves and to protect rich people. Now, you might say, well, those laws aren't meant for me. No, you can use the same laws the rich people use. You can, like, for instance, I'm reducing, I'm wiping away hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in income tax because I'm depreciating real estate and using cost segregation analysis to determine to segregate the cost of upkeep and the depreciation of the property and things like that. So even if you have a business, let's say you have a plumbing business and you have 10 employees, and your plumbing company makes $1 million a year, and you personally, as the owner of the plumbing company, you're gonna pay yourself out of all that income, you might pay yourself $400,000 in a year, then you might owe $180,000 in taxes. But let's say you also invested in a 10-unit apartment building that cost $1 million, but you worked a deal out with the seller to put down 150 grand, and you're going to fix that place up over time. But the value of it's like 400 grand. Let's say the value of it's like 4 million or $2 million, but you bought it for $1 million, but you only put down 100 grand. So you can cost segregate that, and it goes by the purchase price. So you bought it for $1 million and you're doing a cost segregation on it. The cost seg might come back where it's going to save you $200,000 in taxes. Well, you just wiped away the $180,000 in taxes you owed from your plumbing business, and you don't have to pay any taxes. So if you understand how to use these tools, I would recommend using a real estate tax attorney for things like that. But these things are in place for a reason, because this is what rich people do all the time to reduce their tax liability down to zero, legally and lawfully. But you got to do it legally, guys. I'm never going to advocate doing anything shady or behind the book. So use the tax code to your advantage, but you need proper guidance and people who understand how to do all that stuff. Your regular CPA may not know how to do that. They might know of those strategies, but their job is not to do that. They're bookkeepers. They're going to show you what you owe. This is what you need to file. This is what you need to pay by such and such date. Otherwise, you're going to get penalties. But then you hire a tax strategist who also has a CPA firm inside of his, and he's an attorney, and he understands the laws, and he understands all the different tactics to implement. Then you got a whole different outlook. You go from owing 200,000 to not owing anything. So yeah, correct, Greg. S corp. You switch from a LLC and a C corp to an S corp. Some people say, well, isn't there double taxation? Yes, but you're switching from personal income to, it all just depends on how you do it. You set up a holding company, you got your income from your business, and instead of taking profit every week or every month in your own personal name as the owner, instead you take the profit into an S corp, which is a holding company. But you just work for the holding company as an employee, a W-2 employee. And let's say the holding company, your main business makes $1 million profit in a year, and it pays it to the S corp, but you are on payroll for $100,000 a year. You're only paying income tax on $100,000 a year. Where's that other $900,000 go? It goes into the S corp. What do you do with it? Isn't going to have to pay taxes on that? Yes, unless you invest it. So you take that 900 grand and you put it into other things, and you invest it in other things, and you pay. But the S corp also pays for all of your expenses. It pays for your rent at your house, your home office, your car, everything you put into the S corp name. Now, I'm giving you just a broad overview. You need to talk to a tax accountant to do this and understand it clearly. I'm not giving you tax advice. I'm just telling you that there's ways. And now you're going to pay less taxes in personal income because you're paying yourself as a salaried employee on a much smaller amount. This is Jeff Bezos does. Jeff Bezos He's a multi-billionaire. He pays himself 100,000 a year. So when people say tax the rich, guess what? How are you going to tax him? He personally only makes 100,000 a year. Well, what about the billions he makes? That's all stock. What does he do with that? Doesn't he pay taxes on that? No, he borrows against it to buy a $200 million yacht. That's a loan. He doesn't pay taxes on loan proceeds. How does he pay that loan back? With the increased value of the asset they're holding as collateral for the loan. Taxes rich people get around this shit all the time by using these exact principles and strategies that are in place to do that. Trump was on stage when he won the presidency the first time, yelling at Hillary Clinton, saying, she says, well, you don't pay any taxes. He says, that's because I'm smart. People couldn't believe what he was saying publicly. And he goes, you want to change the rule? You want to change the laws to make me pay taxes? Go ahead. But I know you won't do it because all of your rich donors do the same thing. That's what he said. Remember that? And he won the presidency because not only was he telling the truth, but it's true that all the rich people do it. And they're not going to change the laws because they benefit from the laws. You just got to understand that if you're going to play the game, you got to learn the rules. Yeah, BA King, rich people getting rich is only the benefit of the way the system is designed to reward people that are part of expanding the economy. Yeah, provide value, create something, build something, and then use all of the tools, all of the laws, all of the corporate structures to your benefit. You're providing value. That's why companies that employ a lot of people get tax breaks and tax benefits. You're paying more and more people to work for you, and those people are going to pay taxes. Trump himself may not pay income tax, but he employs 10,000 people that pays income tax, so he gets a benefit for that. Anyway, guys, we could talk about that all day. I just wanted to give you the breakdown of what I think might be happening here in the near future. I'm glad you guys tuned in. I hope it was helpful. Let me know if it was. I appreciate you. We are up on those 3 trades. You can move stop losses to break even probably. I'm up 40, 30% on Bitcoin, 42% on Solana, and 49% on XRP right now. And about $1,500 in profit total on those 3 positions. And going into the weekend, could we see a bounce? Yes. I'll let you know if I see anything different happening, but I'm holding these positions for now. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your afternoon. If you have any questions, just ask it in the main chat. Hopefully the carnage won't be too bad, but if it is, we'll at least make money on it. All right, guys. Peace out.